Hello, everyone, and thank you for deciding to join us in yet another presentation in today's BA Excellence Conference of 2022. My name is Jan Mazurek, and I will have the pleasure and the privilege of being your host for the next topic. And if you ever wondered how to start or end an assignment on a project in an enjoyable way, then worry no more, because we have our next speaker, Iryna from BA Netherlands office, who will be able to share with you the tips and tricks of how to make that process smooth, efficient, and very useful for everyone involved in that process. During the speech, I encourage you to post your questions to our speaker, and at the end, we'll try to address those questions that you will have. For now, let me welcome Iryna and allow me to say that it is a great pleasure having you here with us today as a speaker in this conference. I wish you a very good speech, and there's nothing more for me to say than just to say that the stage is yours, and good luck with the presentation.
Thank you, Jan. Hello, everyone. Let me share my presentation with you, and I hope you can see it. And let me proceed with this. So let's talk about entrance and exit and how all of you, if you're leaving the project or you are the one who are entering the project, can benefit from it on your daily basis or during the process itself. So my name is Iryna. I'm senior business analyst from EPAM system. As Jan told, I'm now in Netherlands. Now I hope it's not that raining at your place like it is right now at mine. I have about 5 years of experience in business analysis, played different roles, and involved in different BA activities, as you may see on this entrance slide. So what we're going to talk about today, it's about two processes, which from my perspective, the two sides of the one coin. It's onboarding and it's project exit. We usually pay much more attention to the onboarding process itself, but I would say that exit is not that less important, and we usually forget about this. And I want to also to highlight your attention to the second part of my speech, and maybe you can get some useful information to make your and entrance and exit on the project more beneficial for you. So let's start with onboarding, and we'll try to manage our hopes and expectation within this. So first of all, why this topic about onboarding can be interesting? Because I think all of you already know a lot about this, but let me try to get you into it. So first of all, everyone participated in onboarding process, at least one in their life. So if you are a business analyst who is working on at least one, who has worked on at least one project, or you already have changed like 10 of them, you were part of the onboarding process. Also, we have two sides of this project. For one side, for the newcomer, this process is essential. But unfortunately, for another side, it's usually kind of must do, but I don't have time process. So it could be pretty time consuming, but I would give you some maybe hacks, tips, how you can make everything easier, and you could understand why it could be interesting, and it's very important for both sides. And you can compare your experience regarding the role you've played in this process. So you can just compare your experience with mine, because everything that I'm going to tell you, that everything that I'm going to share with you, it's based on my personal experience with onboarding. Why do I do this? And probably you do it too. So why do I participate in onboarding process? Because one day I didn't like how other people do the onboarding, so how they perform everything. So I decided, maybe I can do it much better. My onboarding on several of my projects was not that good, and even being a newcomer, I knew at some point how I can improve it, how I can make it better, how I add additional motivation to me as a newcomer. But as an onboarding supporter, I can do it right now. Also, I can do it on my own way. Usually you can you see everything in a bit different perspective. The process should be changed. Maybe the topics you're talking about can also be different. But in this case, if I do it, I can do it however I like. And I just like to work with newcomers. I like to give them the overview about my project, to give some insights, maybe some tips how to work better, how to benefit from it, how to get more from with less efforts. And I just like the process itself. So if you were the part of the onboarding on the supporter side, so probably this could be the reasons why you are doing this as well. And why the process itself can be beneficial. So why, how can you get something from the process, even if you are not an um, not participating in this as a newcomer, but the one who is already on the project for a long time, but you still need to teach someone about the basics of your work. You can recap all the project essentials. So basically, what you can do is just repeat and revise everything from different angle and look at this like not as a part of the process. Also, you can keep your documentation up to date because you share a lot of documentation with your newcomers, and this is the perfect moment to update it. And also, having another angle on the project from the side, from the above, is a great opportunity. Maybe you can enhance some processes. Maybe you can change something. Maybe you can, like, I don't know, maybe shorten the meetings. Everything is much more visible while you explaining this process to another person than when you are participated in this on your own. So I hope these are the reasons that make you interested in my topic. And let's move to some essentials. So who are the participants of the onboarding? The usual one we all know. The first one is a newcomer, and the second one is onboarding supporter. There can be multiple newcomers, multiple onboarding supporters during this process, but usually there are two sides. What I want to highlight and what I want to talk about with you is other parties and affected parties who can influence or who can be affected by the onboarding process itself. Who can they be? First of all, it's our development team, because like many times I have heard about from them something like, oh, we don't want to spend time explaining this and that. Their onboarding you have done like must be better because you have to explain this. Sure, development team is affected by the quality of your onboarding. It's very essential to be aligned with the team, what will be the part of the onboarding and what they could help the newcomer to get to know themselves. Because you can't do the knowledge transfer with everything. Development team should help as well. So these are parties that also part of the onboarding. BA colleagues. If you work in BA team, so you're not the single BA and you are just not leaving and have to do some knowledge transfer, but you have a team of BAs and you introduce the newcomer to the team. Sometimes you also can hear something like, oh yeah, our communications rules are actually different. Was it part of your onboarding or not? Maybe you have heard about this, or you should do this and that. So this also aligning expectations with the team, understanding what will be the part of onboarding is also very crucial in this case. And they should understand that you are, as a supporter, usually spend a lot of time and a lot of efforts, but you are a human being. You can't cover everything. There can be some gaps probably, and they should help you to fulfill these gaps as well. So they should also participate in any level, like whatever deep involvement they need in this onboarding process. Another part is a customer. Also, typical phrase, oh, if you have like a huge BA rotation, just like, I am tired to explain this to every new BA, this is like basic stuff, please do the proper onboarding. Of course, customers are like the main focus, and for them onboarding should be really invisible in ideal world. But usually we struggle with that, and to explain customer that this is a newcomer, he's like only 2 weeks on our project, or we just cover in the onboarding this and that, not like getting deep until the topic will be owned by this newcomer, is also very important. So aligning expectations the third time. And the fourth one, of course, it's our leadership and management team. And their usual question about onboarding is when this person will perform on the same level as other BAs. They should be sure that like at some point we don't need any support. We have this newcomer as a separate BA unit that can work without any supervision, without any help, and we can really rely or redistribute all the tasks equally among BAs, old and news. So also they affect our onboarding and we affect their work as well. So just think about affected parties while you do your onboarding, whether you're a newcomer or onboarding supporter. Very important from my perspective, and I hope it's will broaden your view on this process. Let's switch to the process of onboarding, the phases of onboarding, as I call them. Personally, I split the onboarding into 4 phases. It's preparation. Kind of the more you prepare, the easier the onboarding will be. Then it's introduction or onboarding kickoff. It's kind of first impression. You have to make a lot to make this impression like really great, and the newcomer won't be scary or bored or I don't know, not really impressed with the project they will work for some time. The third phase, it's onboarding process itself. This is like mainly familiar for all of you, I hope. So is the process how you do the knowledge transfer. And the fourth one, last but not least, and from my perspective, a lot of teams forget about this. It's onboarding support, what you're going to do after the onboarding plan is finished. So let's talk about each of these phases in details, and I will try to give you some experience tips or some hacks, what I usually do, and maybe it will help you in your work as well. So, preparation phase. What we have on our project, on my current project, as a preparation. First of all, we have a separate project page with details of the overview of the onboarding procedure. So it's kind of the overall information regarding onboarding, where we name the goal of it, timing, participants, process, checklist, typical plans, some lists, some people to whom we can like address some questions in case of our onboarding doesn't go according to the plan. So it's kind of an overall information. Why it's important not to have it at the first place, especially when you have a team of BAs, because you're not the only one who will do the onboarding, but onboarding should be performed on the same level for everyone. And this is as initial steps will align the preparation steps, will equalize maybe how all the BAs can do the onboarding at any moment. So not forget anything, not to think about, oh, should I do this first or that first? So everything is prepared already. Just take it and apply it to the newcomer. To apply it to the newcomer, we need a separate page for each newcomer. So we do it. So this is more like not a knowledge base for us, but a working page where each newcomer has its own personal checklist and onboarding plan. And based on this checklist and onboarding plan, we can change it, slightly change it, or really change the dates, the timing, the level of detailization of anything based on the newcomer experience. So we can skip some parts if they are already experienced in our domain, for example, or our technology, and we can just combine some items together. So this is like a working page for both of us, for newcomer and for me as a supporter, for example. Then as a part of preparation, besides these 2 pages, I always check the newcomer's background. It's always great when you're in your company and it has some system where you can read something about the newcomer, his background, or her experience, or their I don't know, training courses, whatever. But maybe you was the part of their technical interview to your project. You can also get some background or ask people who were on this interview to give some details regarding this newcomer. So this also could help, and you won't spend time on the first kickoff meeting. Oh, tell me about yourself, and you can also correct the plan, the level of details based on this background. Also, as I've already said, documentation is the time to update the documentation, and try to do this before the onboarding, because when you do the when you give the links or do some explanations regarding processes, you usually refer to described processes or described artifacts already, and when they are not up to date, like especially about processes, you can just really be a bit confused. Yes, it was like that like a month ago, but now we have changed it. Yeah. One more thing, it's be available for onboarding meetings. So clear up your calendar beforehand, and don't make these meetings being ad hoc. So not to have the impression that you're just like, oh yeah, I have 5 minutes, then I can explain you this and that. Just choose the time. Maybe it's like 30 minutes, 1 hour a day. I don't know how much time do you need or how complex your project can be. Just do it on a regular basis. And if you need to, I don't know, cancel the meeting because of the holidays or something else, do it in advance. This is about preparation. Let's move on to the next phase. It's introduction or onboarding kickoff. So why it's important and why I think it's very it's really important to make this first impression. When you do it short, as not 2 to 3 hours, and first of all, you will make not the deep diving into the project. The person will feel that everything goes smoothly, and you can really start with some very, very basics of the project. So it could be quite easy. Always start with self-presentation, because you know something already about the person, but the person doesn't know anything about you. So I usually explain who am I give some personal details maybe. I explain what is my role in the project, why I'm doing the onboarding actually, and like some details about myself. Just build a rapport, and it will really help you further on, because you will meet this person almost every day for the next couple of weeks or maybe a month. Also, I suggest you to give just a general project overview as a start, not to dive deeper, not to explain what exactly our solution architect is doing or what is this meeting about. Just overview what is the project, what is the company, what is the team, like everything like that. You will have enough time to give more details about this. Also, I always share the onboarding plan. Don't keep it secret. Don't make it a surprise. And you have, of course, to make it prepared beforehand. So just share with person, and they will know how much will it take to on board, and what will be explained later, maybe. So you will reduce the number of questions with the answer, oh yeah, I will tell you about it later, maybe in 2 weeks. Also, share the checklist. What's the difference between plan and checklist? Checklist, it's something that you have to do, like kind of give credentials for environments, send or get the hardware, or I don't know, add the person to meetings or to channels, or I don't know, introduce to stakeholders. So it's a checklist. So checklist, just share it and explain how you both will work with it. Because onboarding plan is more like one-sided thing, but checklist can be done not synchronized, and you can just, okay, just go there, do this, and after you finished it, just tick next to the item. Then, as you already clear up your calendar, please set up the onboarding schedule, which will be suitable for both of you, and you have regular calls. I think this item is the most important from my point of view. It's aligning expectations from both sides. So what's going on is usually, and it was really my problem was when I was onboarding on some projects, I didn't know what is expected from me after 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks of my onboarding. So I didn't know if I'm doing well, if I'm not good enough, or I just completely failure. So what I suggest you doing is aligning expectation. Just tell, so okay, you after two weeks you have to be able to do this and that. So we're going to finish this in 3 weeks, and you have to be up to speed in, I don't know, maybe 2 months only, or maybe 3 months, depends on the project. So align expectation from both sides. Also, ask a person what they are expecting from you while doing the onboarding. Maybe they are expecting you to review and check every step they're doing, and then explain that you're not going to do that. Very important point from my point of view. And of course, during the introduction, leave some time for Q&A session, like 5 minutes. Don't run to another meeting before the newcomer can ask you something. Okay, let's move on. Let's move to onboarding process itself. As I've said, all of you, I hope, participated in it, and I will just give you some tips from my personal experience in this case. So don't try to embrace the immensity. You have to do the high-level explanations about processes, about functionality, about team structure and everything. If you have documented processes, is the best way. So you can just explain this about that, and you can read more here. Or you have to direct the person to somewhere where they can get more information, because we're all human beings, we can't remember anything, and the person will spend time rewatching your sessions again and again, instead of going and checking some information like from the person or from the documents. It's not a good way how to spend the time during the onboarding. Follow the plan, and not as a plain list, but dates and time. I always plan my onboarding items, not the full timetable, but maybe I schedule 3-4 meetings with dates already and with topics, because I mean, it can take like 30 minutes instead of 1 hour, and I can correct it, so not to change in the whole schedule for the rest of onboarding process. So it's much easier to track, and when you look back to the onboarding process, you can check when you did this and that. Also, I suggest adding action items after each onboarding portion. So not like on the first meeting, I will explain you which communication plan we are having, and I will add you to all possible meetings, like 20, 30 in a week. It's not a good practice because I usually um, explain what the meeting is about. Then I add this person to this meeting. I explain the process regarding this meeting. Maybe it's like planning process, yeah. And only after that, yeah, I'm adding the person. And when you do it portionally, the person will be much easier, much smoother get into the topics than if you will do it like, okay, first meetings, then this is knowledge base, this is Jira, go and just dive and die there. Also, don't forget to introduce the newcomer to all stakeholders. What we're doing, we usually send the overall email to our main stakeholders from customer side and our colleagues from the team. And every time I add person to the meeting or to the channel, I introduce this person once again. So I'm just telling you I'm adding John or I don't know, Alexander to this meeting. Yeah, and he will be doing this and that, and he's just started. So yeah, it's much easier, and for the person not to be in the silent mode and suddenly, yeah, here I am. And it's really a nice welcome gesture. Another thing is including newcomer to all chats, channel, email threads, and meetings. We usually forget about this, and in this case, I have a huge list where I have to add the newcomer, and I'm just doing like tick, 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 edit, 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 edit. Invite newcomer to participate in the meetings you or your colleagues are facilitating. It's an interesting thing. So I usually, when I explain what this meeting is about, I don't know, grooming session, three amigos, whatever. I invite the newcomer to come to my meeting or meeting of my colleague if they are doing this, like, and I'm not. To participate it into passive mode. So they are just there, they're looking how it's going on, they checking the best practices or some traditional things that it is used in our project, and they are not confused when they have to do it on their own. So nice practice and very, very beneficial for the newcomer. Then another hack or another trick, which is super nice for all of you, it's asking newcomer to update some internal documentation. The best thing is about glossary. So what I'm doing, I'm asking the newcomer from the first date, if they see the unknown term, you go to glossary and check if you see this or not. And if you don't, you add this term to this glossary. And then we together or you on your own have to add the description to it. From the perspective of the newcomer, it's nice because they check the glossary and not read it because they have to, like number of terms, but they do it naturally. Term is unknown, I go, I check, I see. And also you update your glossary with the hands of the newcomer. So it's also a natural process which enhances your glossary really in a really nice manner. And also, I usually give some tasks to do for the newcomer on the early stages, and we together checking it afterwards. So just to send an email, just to write or update the Jira ticket. So just small tasks every time, more complicated and more independent. And I do constant review because otherwise, if you don't get feedback, you don't know how good you are or if this task is done like correctly or not. And let's move on to the support part, which I also find missed sometimes on projects, but I think it's a must. So as a support, just I really want like a supporter to be a helping hand even after the fulfilling the onboarding plan. So it's not like everything is done, if of course if you are staying on the project. So if everything is done, then like don't disappear or don't behave like you don't know this person. It's just like, okay, this is colleague and I'm done with my onboarding. Support this person, answer the questions, and just do a bit of mentoring in the early stages. I usually set up additional Q&A sessions, and it's kind of 15 or 30 minutes, maybe once a week, for, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks after onboarding process is over. So then the person can ask not urgent questions and I can review some tasks and help with some tricky activities. And it's also very helpful because usually the newcomer doesn't know whom they can ask, and they know that there is a time slot for these questions. Also, I check up on every first time activity of the newcomer. So I just check that they know what to do, they know where to get this information from, and they don't forget steps like follow-ups, maybe, or some, I don't know, documentation update after the activity they have to fulfill. Um, Also, mm, I try not to be a controller, but being a supporter, because I don't like to review and control how everything is done. I just prefer to say something like, yes, it could be described in this way, but in our project, we usually do this according to this template. So maybe to align with everybody else, because we need to, because we're a team of BAs, we have to rephrase this. And usually, yeah, it's doesn't um, affect anything. So not an attitude, not motivation. So the person that, oh yeah, okay, I will just do it this way. And of course, appreciation matters. If you have in your company any, on your project, any appreciation possibilities, I don't know, badges, emails, some even just words of support, it is really great in the early stages. Motivation is everything in this case. So these are the four phases for onboarding process. I hope this my experience and these tips maybe I gave you would be helpful. Maybe you know it was a pretty basic for you, but maybe you got something that like sleep your mind, and maybe you have never thought about this. This would be grateful. This would be great if I helped you to figure out some smaller details. And let's switch to project exit and try to um, think about how exit should be processed, how it should be organized, and why it's not less important than the onboarding itself. Also, if you have any questions, please write in the chat. I will try to answer them afterwards. So let's go on. Project exit. Why at all the exit process is needed? So why do we need this? Because like we have a lot of usually problems. If you are staying on the project and one of your colleagues is leaving, usually you want his exit to be not that painful for you, but for this person it can be a bit different way. So the reasons people are leaving can be different. So it can be just a wish to rotate to another project, maybe company leaving, maybe it's just the person doesn't fit your project and they need to change it. So it's not always nice and pleasant, and when people feel not really nice while leaving the project, of course they won't pay much attention to what they are leaving behind. And in this case, when you have established process and they just have steps to do, it could make their attention like more focused, and they just fulfill items and just doing the checklist items, and it will help to both of you, the one who is leaving and those one who are staying. Also, in this case, proper knowledge transfer is not a priority. Usually, when you change the project, you already want to get the onboarding on another project, or maybe you're excited to do so, or maybe you're just leaving the company and just like, oh, I don't care. So it's not a priority, but it should be. Also, it is one-time thing on your project. So people don't know how to do it. They don't know the steps they have to fulfill while living. They just know that they just can, okay, since tomorrow I'm not working here anymore, just close the laptop and I just don't care. But in this case, if you would establish this process, people would really know what to do, even though if they want to leave elegantly, yeah, not to burn out all the boards, but they just don't know what to do. You have to help them. And of course, following prepared exit plan and checklist, and help you not to miss anything, not to miss a thing, not to keep the knowledge as much as possible in the project, and keep maybe relationship much better than they could be. And as from my experience, this process is hardly established on even on huge project where the rotation of BAs is really vast and frequent, and you need to have it there. But sometimes it's just not. So let's see what can be the exit plan checklist. If you have ever left the project, please try to check, did you do it yourself? Or maybe if you are a team lead, did your team members do it while leaving the project? So the first one is notification about intention and rotation agreement should be done with proper timing. Notify your colleagues, notify people who are affected by you about your intentions to leave, because if you leave the BA team, and your work will be redistributed among them, and they have to do additional work, they would like to know it in advance. Then you have to make a list of current responsibilities and redistribute it one by one. So I'm hosting this meeting, and the next host will be, yeah. So don't leave like TBD or some other unknown empty fields when you just like leave in, and your responsibility, nobody knows what is going to be, what who will take your responsibilities. Agree, make an agreement, yeah, you will take this meeting, you will take this ownership, and so on. Make sure that your usual documentation, your requirements are up to date, or at least the person whom you're doing the knowledge transfer knows where to get this information, this like missing pieces of information from. Try to cover all the topics with knowledge transfer session with the recording, where you will explain the person who doesn't know anything about main stakeholders, of course, introduce this person, and then the overview, what this feature or topic is about, status, so if it's in active implementation, or maybe it's in post, but you are still the owner of this topic. Future plans, you should know it because you are a BA who is working on this, and documentation links. So these 5 items are the must for every knowledge transfer. Maybe you can add something else there, but if you have at least these 5 basic items, you can make sure that the person will continue with this work like quite easy. Also, inform all the stakeholders and internal team and customers about your leave. So about the date you're leaving, you can send them not goodbye email only, but also beforehand with all the redistribution of the topics, so people would know where to go, what to do, and how to plan their activities based on your leave. If it's possible, you have to present BA who will own the topic to all stakeholders. And this is Olga, she will substitute me in this topic. Yeah, I did the knowledge transfer, but maybe you can help her with some details because like this and that. So it would be nice, and your stakeholders will know where to get this information from, for further information, or to whom to address their questions. Reassign all Jira tickets, wiki pages, knowledge base pages, anything that you are owner of. In our project, it's really nice when you just search the BA name and you don't find anything in Jira assignment as an assignment after the BA has left. This is really nice because in this case you don't have to think, oh, this is his ticket, but who is the owner of this ticket is right now. Not a good one. Give back the equipment if possible, if it's laptop or some other like keys, RCA or whatever, and leave all chats and ask to be removed from distribution lists and meeting invitations. It also will help you not to get additional changes with one, I don't know, time-saving period, and you will redistribute the meetings and you will get updates on them, and you won't get additional information regarding the project. Yeah. So that is the checklist. I hope you do most of this or all of these items while leaving, or will try your best to do it next time. That was it from my end. Thank you so much. If you need more information or I can help you with sharing some ideas about checklists or onboarding plan or some, I don't know, tips regarding these processes, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email or my LinkedIn account is on the screen. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. And actually, we still have a bit of time for the Q&A session. And actually, we have received a couple of questions. And I would like to start with the first question that you've mentioned that it's very important to manage the expectations for the whole plan on onboarding, right? And question that was asked, how close do you stick to that plan in case you see that someone is not performing as expected according to that plan? How much of modification you can introduce to that plan?
I actually can do a lot of modification. Of course, we're trying to. I'm sorry, something is. Do you see me well? Because I'm semi-glittering. So just like, oh, everything should be right. Okay. Sorry.
I can hear you well. Yep.
Oh, okay. So it's like how I see myself. I'm so sorry. So actually, I adapt all the plans based on the performance. So I always think that you can find the proper responsibilities or proper functional area where the person's skills can be applied to. So, and in the case, the person is not performing that well on this level, you just change maybe the topics or functional areas or the way how they are doing stuff. Yeah. And I mean, expectations, it's an average thing. So we are expecting, I don't know, my project is super complicated and we're expecting to be on track after 3 months. But if the person is lacking of some, I don't know, not KPIs, but some to be like really fast on some maybe documentation, maybe working with stakeholders, maybe elicitation or something like that, I can easily modify it and find another way how their skills could be applied to our project. So yeah, modification can be done and should be done based on person. We are different. We all are different. Sometimes it's even faster, you know? This is so great when you're just like, yeah, we have to do it like for 2 months. And the person's just, yeah, I got this, I know this, and this was just perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, in general, we need to be agile at EPAM, right?
Sure.
Another question that we have received is, what would you recommend to a junior newcomer to the project when that junior comes to the project and where there is actually no onboarding process established and that there's actually no project documentation? Where to start in that particular case?
So you mean when you're just starting the project and it's a junior one, so you don't have anyone to help you with, or?
Yes.
Oh, I was in this position. For my first project, I was the junior BA, and I came to the project from the very start. And I just didn't know what to do. So I opened the list of best practices, like what should be done in the beginning of the project. Yeah, I started with the huge mind map where I wrote, oh, I need this, that, based on Babok, based on figures, based on anything, and tried to adjust as much techniques as possible and as much artifacts as possible on the level I can perform them. So it's nice to find first a person who can guide you through. I even went to person from another project and just asked, can you just help me with reviewing my artifacts there? So I found myself a mentor to do not kind of onboarding, but to figure out if I'm doing everything right. Also, you're not alone on the project. You, of course, have managers, you have um, development team, probably maybe some team lead who is assigned already on this project. And they understand they are not expecting from you as a junior, because junior is you are working under supervision. You should work under supervision. But of course, there are circumstances where you can, for example, be on your own. But to ask questions and ask stupid questions, where I can get this, where I can get that information. Do you need this for your work? This is a really good question from my point of view. So I just came to my delivery manager and asked, oh, do you need vision and scope? Or I can do another type of documentation. And he said, no, actually, I don't need, just here is the Jira, please go ahead, just fulfill the backlog with the tickets. And I was just like, okay, no problems, here's the vision, but I can do whatever I want. So in this case, just try to be proactive, find ways how to do it from books, from other people, from, I don't know, peer-to-peer, some reviews organized, and of course, talk to your colleagues on the project. They will help. From junior, they shouldn't expect anything. Or if they expect, explain that you are junior. And just
Mhm.
like we all were juniors at one moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always this learning curve on each of the projects, right?
Sure,
So we need
sure,
to, yeah.
sure.
And when it comes to actually the exit process, you did mention that you should not leave some activities and actions unassigned and, like leaving the TBDs. But, sometimes at EPAM, we are placed in a difficult situation when there's a rotation agreement signed. And let's imagine a BA is leaving at the end of June and the new BA will join at the start of July. And there is like no overlapping of that period. How would you handle that particular situation
Um,
of the exit or onboarding?
with us, I have there can be two situations. For example, if you are the single BA on the project, it's more complicated. But I can get back to it a bit later. But we have, for example, now a huge BA team on the project, and we constantly have this problem. So we have the time gap between one BA leaving and another BA is onboarding. And in this case, what we are doing, it's not the ideal plan, but it can help. So the BA who is leaving, they redistributed everything among other BAs. And during this time gap, and while onboarding, other BAs supporting their topics. And as soon as new BA is on track, we just fulfill his box of responsibilities or topics with maybe even our topics, like FOMO, we don't want to support, or it would be easier to support for somebody else, or just being kind of a transfer point. Just we got this information where the recording is a must, as I've said, and then give it to the next person. When you're a single BA, it's much harder, but I think in this case, you can also find, firstly, document as much as possible. Just to add a link or address someone to ask questions from would be much more helpful than if you just leave TBD and you just don't know where to go and what to do. So in this case, I would suggest just give as much, I don't know, breadcrumbs as possible for person to follow your steps before they left. So yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing those points with us. And actually, those were the all questions that we have received from our participants. So it has been a great pleasure being a moderator for your session. And actually, I've learned quite a lot by myself just to even refresh my own memory on the topic, because there are sometimes even small gaps that everyone can have. So I hope this session was equally useful to all of our participants. And thank you also so much for sharing your contact details, because I'm sure that other colleagues who might have questions at the later time, or people who will watch us or will watch the recording at a later time, they might also reach out to you with some additional questions to this particular topic. But for now, let me thank you so much for the presentation today, and for everyone who is watching us online, let me encourage you to participate in the remaining topics that we have prepared for you today as well. And also feel free to watch the recordings for the entire BA Excellence conference online at a later time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jan.
Great pleasure and great presentation. Thank you so much. Take good care. Have a wonderful day.